Hey there, crypto traders and investors. It's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ Stocks, crypto assets, news, and interviews. Today is Wednesday. Happy hump day. It is April 17th. Hope you're doing well. And in this video, we're going to take a look at Bitcoin. We're going to take a look at the SP 500, kind of see what the broader market is doing. And we'll take a look at the charts. We'll do some technical analysis. I'll give my thoughts and opinions in terms of the price action in the days, weeks, months ahead. There are some weekly bull flags that are still intact, and we'll go over the bull and bear scenarios and what we need to see to confirm it and what we need to see to negate it. But spoiler alert, we do have a target on Bitcoin, if confirmed, of $113,000 US. Before we get to it though, make sure to smash the like. It helps support me in the channel. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell, all that good stuff, and you'll be notified on any future videos or when I go live. And as always, this is not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. You should never ever buy or sell anything based on anything that I say or anything that I write. Also, you can follow us over on X, formerly Twitter. The handle for that is @GroupPow. Going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward. Also, just as a heads up, I'll be giving away an annual membership to the Pow Group private community. If you just go to the YouTube channel, click on community tab, scroll down, the details are there. I'll be giving it away on Saturday, so April 20th, in celebration of 420, Germany going legal, and Florida on the ballot. Jumping right into it, if you haven't seen the video that I posted, this was over a year ago now, I posted how I'm preparing for one of the biggest and worst market crashes in history. I do think that we're going to see a massive sell-off. We could potentially go as low as 300, maybe 250 on the SP 500. I'm talking the SPY ETF, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment. But if you haven't seen that, I give my top 10 things that I'm doing to prepare, and those who fail to plan to fail, right? We need to prepare for all scenarios. And like I said, the S&P 500 has gone up, I think it's about 150% since March 2020. And generally we're accustomed to 10 to 12% annual return. So basically we've gotten 10 years worth of gains essentially in a few years, right? So whenever something goes up that aggressively, we need to expect a pretty aggressive downturn. And if you take a look at where we were in March 2020, we were a lot lower than we were right now. So even if we go to 300, that wouldn't be out of the, completely out of the question or out of the realm of possibilities. When I remember back when, we were down in the low 200s on SPY, and everybody was saying, 300 is going to be the top. I'm going to short it all day long at 300. And here we are coming on 550 on SPY. So it can always get, it can always go further than you think, and it can always go lower than you think, right? Irrational exuberance to the upside, and then the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. And something that we have to remind ourselves is that Bitcoin halving countdown is just over 2 days away. So this is going to be, it's going to cut the supply, right? The rewards for the miners is going to cut in half, and therefore supply and demand 101, right? That should increase the price based on lack of supply. So in my opinion, I think we could continue to run. And at this point, it's still a weekly bull flag that's still intact. So as long as we hold 60,000 on Bitcoin, we hit 59,707. I'll consider that a save. If we lose that, then the chances of this weekly bull flag playing out, I think, are negated. And then we could be pulling back to the 0.5 fib, which would be at 56,000, or the 0.618 there at the golden pocket at around 52,000. We could still see an EMA 12 and 26 bear cross as well on the weekly time frame, but we did cool off the RSI. We're no longer in overbought territory, and we're holding weekly EMA 12. So essentially, as long as I'm in the camp of thinking, as long as we hold EMA 12 this week, right? We have 4 days, 1 hour left. As long as we hold EMA 12 this week, then I think the chances of a bull flag are still intact, and I think it would just be a bear trap and a fake out. And if you take your measured move here from the low to the high, move it out to your 0.382 fib, that gives you your measured move. So in order to negate it, like I said, we need to close the weekly candle below that EMA 12. And then in order to confirm it, we need to break the all-time high there at $73,757 USD. If we break that all-time high, that confirms the weekly bull flag, and we're taking the measured move, and it says it's going to potentially take us to $113,000. I don't think we're going to go much further than that. Everybody says, all these experts and big wealth managers are saying, we're going to 150,000, we're going to 250,000. I don't think so. I think the top is very close, but I do think we have a little bit more gas left in the tank and potentially could see 100K broken. And then, like I said, that weekly bull flag would take us to 113,000. There's also a weekly bull flag on the S&P 500, so sort of the same deal here. If we can close over EMA 12, then I think it's going to be negated. We cooled off the RSI here, and we were due for weekly consolidation, right? We hadn't really consolidated since all the way back in the first week of January, and their next support is at 464.99, so 465, right? So at this point, it's just healthy and it's expected. And right now we're holding 500. So we hit 499.12. I'll consider this a save. But like I said, if we can manage to close above 500 this week, then I think we could potentially still see this weekly bull flag. And if it happens on Bitcoin, then there's a good chance that it happens on SPY. And if it happens on SPY, there's a good chance that it happens on Bitcoin, right? Depending on which one goes first. Because as we know, risk on assets, they tend to follow each other, right? And Bitcoin generally only hits new all-time highs when the broader market is at all-time highs, right? And then if you take your measured move from low to the high here, move it out to your 0.32 fib on the SP 500, it says we could be targeting a 567. So we could see one more final blow-off top euphoric rally, in my opinion. We did have a POW algo sell alert go off on SPY, and Bitcoin also not looking too hot here on the weekly time frame, losing the 10-week moving average. We already had a stochastic and a MACD bear cross, but now that it's out of the way, like I said, as long as we keep that major support there and close over weekly EMA 12, then it's a potential for that bullish continuation pattern and bull flag. But it's not looking too hot, but again, we'll see how the weekly candle closes. But the S&P 500, same deal, right? We lost the 10-week moving average. We closed below it. We saw we saw a stochastic and a MACD bear cross on the weekly time frame as well. So we are seeing some long-term indicators saying that, the top could be near. But like I said, I do think that we're going to see that one more final blow-off top rally. I don't think we've seen, the top of the crypto space yet. We haven't really seen full-blown alt season. We've seen a little bit of a taster, right? We've seen like Solana go from $8 all the way up to over $200 in a very short period of time, like 25x, right? $1,000 into $25,000, right? For every $1,000, invest 4,000, you're at 100 grand, right? So I think more altcoins are going to follow suit. Think of Ripple as well. There's talks of a potential settlement with the SEC. They could IPO. There's tons of bullish catalysts on the horizon. XRP more than likely going to melt faces this cycle as well, in my opinion. I think we could be targeting anywhere from $8 to $13. On the high end, I think we could hit 17 to 20 bucks, but I'm going to be pretty much all out of my of most of my position, at least 90 to 95% of my position. I'll probably swing 5 to 10% long term, but this cycle I plan to sell about 90 to 95% of my crypto, including XRP. So it's looking really, really good. Like I said, I think we see one more final blow off top on Bitcoin and one more final push higher and gas in the tank. And then that money's going to trickle down into other alts. And then we'll start to see just alts go absolutely berserk here into the end of the year. It's an election year as well. And they're talking about doing a crypto bill and MJ banking all in one. And then that would be more than likely stablecoin legislation. And we know that Ripple just announced the plan to launch a stablecoin on the XRPL and Ethereum blockchain. So that is massive, right? And we're seeing all of the bad actors in the space kind of get weeded out. And like I said, if we see that legislation bill pass, that's going to be massive for the industry, coupled with, a lot of these other companies going to IPO. There's going to be a lot of IPO companies going to IPO in the next few months and over the next, call it 6 or 12 months, in my opinion. But as of right now, the S&P 500 is well above all of its weekly moving averages. We do have the 50 weekly there at 457. In terms of Bitcoin, let's see where we are in terms of the weekly moving averages. Yeah, we're way above it, but we're seeing a bull cross of the 50, the 100, and the 200. So this is generally very, very bullish, right? The last time this happened on Ethereum, it went from about $600 all the way up to $5,000. So there could be, like I said, one more final blow-off top rally. The S&P 500 is losing the 50-day moving average, and we have the 100 there at 49 and the 200 there at 462. So if we do negate that weekly bull flag, then we could easily be trending down to that 462 area, right? Kind of lines up with our previous support there on the weekly time frame as well, as I mentioned earlier. And then Bitcoin, we have 56,100 day moving average and the 200-day moving average at 46,000. So if we can negate the weekly bull flag, that's some levels that we could potentially expect afterwards. But as of right now, like I said, I don't think there's any major cause for concern. Obviously, there's some geopolitical tensions around the world, and Iran and Israel mounting, and then there's that cloud of worry and uncertainty about whether or not China could ever go to war or invade Taiwan. I think it's a real possibility. There's talks about cyber attacks and outages and things like that. So we'll see if we get any kind of black swan, but I think, it's an election year. I think the more than likely we have a lot of momentum into the end of the year, and it could potentially spill over into, the first or second quarter in 2025. But I do think that a long-term top is near, and now's the time to start hedging, right? Either having cash on the sidelines. A lot of my retirement accounts are in money market funds. I've got a very large cash position as well. I used to have a six-figure cash position, but bought a second Airbnb. I'm going to show the before and after videos, the photos in a little bit once I get everything, got the photographer over today, so I'll show that. But, deploying some of that cash into some real estate, beating down real estate here in Alberta, Edmonton, Canada. And like I said, very high cash flowing properties, cash flowing around 300% each month. So, that's what I'm doing. I'm also, diversified, like I said, into real estate. I own other investments as well, MJ, crypto. I'm using the SP 500 short as well. You can use just regular short shares. That's what I recommend for long term. But again, check out this video. I go over all of that. And SPXS is another way to hedge it as well, inverse 3x leverage ETF. So essentially, if SPY goes up 1%, that goes down 3%. If SPY goes down 1%, SPXS goes up 3%. So like I said, it's at this point, we're starting monthly consolidation on SPY. And we need to expect a pullback eventually, right? Nothing goes in a straight line forever. And if we just go from I'm just going to get rid of that fib here from before. If we just go from the low to the high here on the monthly time frame, it's a potential monthly bull flag as well, because we're in a monthly uptrend with higher lows and higher highs. So if we negate the weekly bull flag, then we could pull back to the 481 level, so 481 on SPY, the 0.382 fib there, and that's a monthly bull flag. And if we just take our measured move there from the monthly bull flag, go from low to the high, and then move it out to our 0.32 fib here on the monthly, then we could be targeting 626. So like I said, it always goes higher than you think, right? And it always goes lower than you think. And then, like I said, in terms of, where we could potentially go from here, if we just use a blueprint of the .com days, the price peaked in 2000 and the RSI peaked in 1996, and then we went to monthly oversold. Something similar this time, where the RSI peaked in 2018, and we're seeing hidden bearish RSI divergence with lower highs, lower lows. That's not good, right? Even this bounce here is still just a lower high compared to the previous few years and bull markets, right? So I took the .com fractal as well, and it's saying that, maybe into, the end of 2024, I think that's going to be stretched out, because I mentioned that when I drew this fractal, that we could potentially deviate from it because of the fact that we have all this artificial money printing at the moment, right? Back here, the Fed wasn't printing trillions and trillions of dollars and, propping up the market artificially. So this is very different dynamic this time, but ultimately I think we could potentially see, this pullback here from the top to the bottom. From where we went to the top to monthly oversold, we pulled back about 47%. So if this is our top getting close, let's say it's, I don't know if we're going to go to 600 or above that, but I think there's a good chance that we hit, 560s, 550. But let's just say our top was right now where we just hit all-time highs. If we pulled back 47%, that'd put us somewhere around 260, right? And again, matching up with that fractal. So, or if, the top's at 567, like I mentioned, and we pulled back 47%, that'd put us around 300. And again, in March 2020, when we were at a low there of 205, I remember when we broke to a higher high and a new all-time high, and we hit 339, everybody was like, oh, I'm going to short it right at 300, right? This is definitely the top. We didn't even confirm a monthly uptrend. It's just a dead cat bounce, and look what happened after that, right? So it can always go higher than you think and always go lower than you think. But like I said, as long as we prepare for all scenarios, up, down, sideways, have a plan for all, that's all we can do. And check out that video on how I'm preparing for one of the worst market crashes in history. And something, again, that I will reiterate is that I'm looking for Congress being banned from owning stocks, and also interest rates starting to get cut. So if we see interest rates cut, then that's not going to be a good sign, because generally that's a long-term top and market top indicator, right? If you look at 1929, they cut interest rates, and then it was the Great Depression. If you look at 2008, massive financial crisis. If you look at 2020, we had C19, right? Same all around the same time where they were cutting rates. Generally, when they cut rates, that is not a good sign, right? So I think 6 to 12 months from now is probably where we're going to hit the market top, and then we could potentially see a multi-year bear market. So now's the time to prepare. If anybody needs any help, obviously I'm not a financial advisor, but I can certainly give my 2 cents. So check out that video for how I'm preparing, though. But thank you again for joining us on The Pursuit of Wealth. It's Rob with Power Group, and we'll see you on the next video. Have a great night.